Welcome to the NFL show on the S.O.S podcast network. I am Mark Sauter. He is Java Joe, and it is good to be back. What a week in the NFL. I'm hearing people say it was the best week. I don't know. It's all a blur to me. Some weeks it's just there's good. There's every week there's good, there's bad, and it just all kind of blurs together. But we got a great week to recap in week 11. Last week was week 11, right? And here we are, week 12. We'll talk some betting previews and all of that good stuff. Once again, I am Mark Sauter. He is Joe. This is the NFL show on the Sauter on Sports podcast network, brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Right now, promo code SPORTS10 gets you 10% off whatever sports card you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off multiple cards. And with our promo code, not only do you get 10% off of regular price items, but sales items as well. That's up to 60% off selected cards in the First Round Collectibles store. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com today. Promo code SPORTS10 for up to 60% off selected cards. And Total Apex Media, Total Apex Sports, always big shout out having us on board. We appreciate them very, very much. Before we get into the week that was and look ahead to the week that is, Joe, how we feeling on a football Wednesday, man? It's good to see you.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Listen, it's about to be defense and run game season. Temperatures starting to drop. There's going to be some snow here pretty soon, so it's going to be a pretty nuts football there on the trenches. I'm going to be very interested to see how these cold weather franchises impose their wills on these teams, these fair weathered Floridians and teams from the South, or teams like LA. They get to play in their fancy little dome. I'm very excited to see how these teams handle it when they hit the cold temperature type places with no domes, just the elements.
We're getting there,
and we got a piece of that in the Pittsburgh game, I think. It was one of those Sunday night games recently where the ball was just untenable. Kicking the ball, you'd start over here and the ball ends up over there. I can't remember what game it was, but it was recently that I saw that it was pretty nasty. The winds, it was not a good time.
Well, and from like a fan perspective, at least for me, maybe this is the Canadian in me, but I think that this is a pretty general thing for a northern football fan, whether you're in the northern US or in Canada. We had this on Sunday, man. The windows are open, not open, but like the blinds are up, watching football with the snow coming down. It's nothing like it, man. It's that time of year, and we can't wait for it. Looking back, a few things that I want to get to before we get to the betting portion of the show. Quickly go through. Patriots beat the Jets 20. Of course, everyone by now already knows this, but 27-14. The Patriots beat the Jets 16-13. The Dolphins. I mean, by now, this one was in Spain, right? But by now, like, we just keep giving them these games, man. Like, I know you can't always predict how good a certain game's going to be, but I think we could have predicted this wasn't going to be a great game even before the season started, I think, in my opinion. Maybe not.
Don't hold
Panthers,
your breath, as we're sending the Saints to Paris.
Are we? I missed that one.
It just happened today. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's next year. Wonderful. Of course. The Panthers come back, beat the Falcons. Falcons, just an anomaly, man. I know that Penix got hurt. You have that lead. You have Bijan. I just don't understand. That's a team that just hurts my brain every year. I can't wrap my head around it. Bills with a very, very impressive, I guess like 20 minutes. The last half of the fourth quarter, very impressive, beating the Bucks 44-32. Jacksonville taking advantage of the eventual Herbertless Chargers 35-6. Vikings losing to the Bears 19-17. Packers, your guys almost had it, man. You almost had it. Winston almost had it. 20-19. It was almost there. You almost did it. I was pulling for you. Even though you're a division rival, my guy Winston, I'm always pulling for him. Steelers 34, Bengals 12. Rodgers goes out. Texans squeak by the Titans 16-13. 49ers beat the Cardinals 41-22. Rams beat the Seahawks 29 in a great game. Ravens beat the Browns 23-16. Ravens not overly impressive in this one, but did get the win. Broncos beat the Chiefs, essentially wrap up the division. Obviously, nothing's for certain, but at this point in this season, with the Chargers trending the way that they are, getting that win over the Chiefs 22-19, basically solidifying the division. The Chiefs now 5-5. The Eagles beating the Lions 16-9, and that is where I want to start with you. The Eagles defense, we talked about this over the last couple weeks. They did this last year with Vic Fangio too. Right, the defense starts the season, looks a little shaky, rounds into form once everyone's getting used to the system, all this stuff. Jaden Phillips, this guy doesn't need any time to get used to the system. He's just in there. Now, I know he obviously came from Miami. Do you know, did he play for Fangio when Fangio was there?
Yes.
He did. Okay, so it's a little bit of familiarity there. But this Eagles defense has rounded into the best defense in the NFL, and I don't think that's a question. Certainly, there are, better defensive players in the NFL. You see Myles Garrett on my fantasy league that has defenders. This guy's putting up 22 points a game for me. But as a whole, seeing what that Eagles defense is just doing right now, to Green Bay 2 weeks ago, to the Lions this past week is beyond impressive to see what they're doing. That offense does enough to win ball games, but it is broken. All the talent in the world, and they just cannot gain traction to save their lives. Good defense in Green Bay, good defense in Detroit. Still, to me, it doesn't look like a team that's, I don't know, maybe you think differently. This Eagles team, I think, is an absolute Super Bowl contender. We know what this offense can do based on what we've seen over the last few years, especially in the playoffs last season. It doesn't look like an offense that's necessarily getting beaten by good defenses. It looks like an offense that's beating themselves. Yet the defense looks tremendous. Detroit with a really, really tough one last week. So let's start there with the Eagles. What are you making of this team? Clearly, like I just said, the defense doing what the defense is doing. It's weird. Like a couple years ago, when the Eagles were winning all those games, even though it did not look pretty, it didn't feel good. They lost to the Niners. They were 10-1, lost to the Niners, and it all fell apart. And they ended up getting curb stomped by the Buccaneers in the first round of the playoffs. This year, it doesn't feel like that. Like it doesn't, and maybe that's because like they won last year. I don't know. But their offense doesn't look good. They're winning ball games. Their defense looks dominant. But to me, like everything's okay. And I know that Philly faithful will still like boo them off the field and all of that. And we would expect nothing less. But what are you making of this Philly team right now, man? Because I still think it's going to be tough to knock them out when the games really count come January. But the two sides of the ball could not be polar opposites right now.
Yeah, listen, that defense is just on an elite level right now. They've tweaked some things there to where, um, look, I mean, eh, super elite to the point where like even guys like Adoree Jackson are making plays, which I've made my feelings clear on that second cornerback position. Um,
Yep.
I've felt that that was a weakness for Philly. But where they're getting some help now, and not exposing that second corner to too many plays is they're getting to the quarterback, and they're getting to the quarterback fairly easily. Now I will say that I've been consistent in my assessment of the offensive line for the Lions. I've said that this offensive line is going to be an issue in the interior. They cannot run the ball against really good defenses in the middle of their defense. And that was very evident in that game against Philly. The only plays that worked as far as getting any positive yardage were to the left or to the right side of the offensive line. If they ran up the middle, they were not going anywhere up the middle. Um, and you could tell the attrition on Jared Goff. He got hit 7 times that
Yep.
game, and I watched that whole game start to finish, and he looked terrible. He looked like as the game went on, as every hit he took, even when he wasn't hit, he threw the ball as if he was hit. That's what it felt like. It felt like he was getting the ball out. Um, eh, Before he was ready, and the ball looked weird. It looked weird. It was either behind people or it was over people because he wasn't ready to let it go because he's just been hit 7 times in that game. It's the worst I've seen him look in a while, to be honest. I think he looked better in the game. He threw 6 picks in the game that they won. Um that's just how bad he looked in this particular game, and it highlights the fact that I felt like, hey, this team can get by against, okay teams, but like if you put them up against stout defenses that are going to take away what you like to do, they're going to have a problem. And listen, not on the defense. I'll say this, it's not on Kevin Shepard's group because Kevin Shepard's group did the job. All right. They gave up only 16 points in this game, 13 of which were in the first half. So if your offense can come up with any kind of offense in that second half, you should still be in this game. You should still be able to try to, be able to win this game. It's just the defense on the other side was just as good. Um, and they lost the tough one. But I think that O line, like I said, um, especially the interior, where they don't have Ragnow in there anymore due to retirement. They moved on from some guys in the interior. They got a rookie from Georgia on the right guard. He was getting beat mercilessly in
Yeah.
this game. Ratledge was getting beat, and ironically enough, um, he's going up against a guy he saw for at least 3 years in Jalen Carter in the same college. So you'd figure, you'd have some familiarity with how you're going to get attacked, having seen it for 3 years straight. But he was getting beat. He was getting beat. So we'll see what happens down the road. I'll say real quick on the offense for Philly, it's been pretty predictable. I had a very nice, comfortable hit on Jalen Hurts under in the passing yards
Yep.
because it's just not gonna happen, bro. It's just not gonna happen. He's sailing people from yards. He's throwing deep balls towards the sideline, nowhere near the guy. Nowhere near the guy. And listen, and you know what? At the end of the day, Brown's going to feel good. Why? Because he had 7 catches and he felt like he was a part of the game. So, as bad as the offense looked, I bet you he slept like a baby because he was pretty much the only guiding light in this offense, even with the
Yeah.
80 something yards that Barkley got. But I mean, he took 26 carries to get there. Like, it's not great. I don't know how it's sustainable, but I do know that defense and running will win championships more often than not. So I'm inclined to believe you that they may be there at the end, but God, it's such a terrible watch. It's hard to watch.
It's tough. It's tough. And listen, I'm a Birds fan, self-proclaimed biggest Eagles fan north of the border. It's tough, man. Like, I don't remember a time. I mean, I'm sure that there were times. I don't remember getting out of my chair more watching defense than I do offense. Like, that game on Sunday night, when the defense was on the field, I'm out of my chair. I'm yelling at the TV. I'm loving it. And when the offense is out there, it's just like, man, like, there's nothing really to get up about. I I I just I don't know, man. Like, that one year that I just referred to where they went 10-1 and then cratered. Like, that was a tough one. The year before that, when they went to the Super Bowl, lost to KC. Last year, when they won the Super Bowl, there's just something about having Jalen Hurts behind center where you just know you're gonna win. And it doesn't look pretty. Yes, recently it's been on the backs of the defense, but regardless, your quarterback, like, he like, that's their quarterback. And when he's back there, you just feel like you're gonna find a way to win. And even that game, 16-9. I'll say this too. Listen, Sirianni, I know that there is no one who is in the middle when it comes to Sirianni. You either love the guy, you hate the guy. I'm a Sirianni fan. Even when he got hired, he was talking about flowers. I loved it. It was bizarre. It was weird. I was about it. Cool. I get it, bro. I like we're all flowers and pots. I agree with you. That absolutely. That's a Hallmark movie somewhere. He is doing stupid stuff at the end of games that is eventually going to bite this team in the butt. It just is. Like, it was a couple weeks ago against the Packers. I don't remember what it was. And then that Lions offense was doing nothing. Nothing. Punt the ball. Punt the ball. You're at your own 30-yard line at the end of the fourth quarter. Fourth down. Punt the ball. They got bailed out by a phantom pass interference call. Like, there's certain things.
I hated that call so much.
Dude, there's certain
I'm
things.
watching it and I'm like, what are we even talking about? Like,
what are we doing? I know. And there are things that are happening specifically at the end of games with Sirianni where it's like, eventually you are going to get bit by these. It's not happened yet. It's not happening right now. My whole point, though, was that even though the offense doesn't look great, man, like, we've seen it. We've seen it too many times to think that it's not going to get itself worked out. And that year that they went 10-1 and the season cratered, the offensive coordinator, that situation was a mess from the start. And they went 10-1 because they were talented, not because the schemes were great, not because of anything other than talent. And they were still in the beginning stages of taking the league by storm. Well, when you win a Super Bowl, you don't get to take the league by storm anymore. And so they're going to have to figure something out. This is not going to be this way all the way to zeros at the end of the Super Bowl. However, because of what we have seen, it's just hard to imagine something not eventually clicking.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're heading into the season where it's really got to be Barkley season, especially with the elements. And now that I'm remembering, it was that game, where the kickers could not hit one. in the pregame. I'm watching knucklers go this way, knucklers go that way. Jamison Williams gets a celebration penalty on the one score that they have, and gets them 15 yards. Bates then subsequently misses the extra point afterwards. So, I mean, uh, maybe that's why you're going for it on fourth down every turn. You've already seen your kicker pregame, and not to say that that's not in his MO, because that's obviously everybody with a brainstem knows that going for it on fourth down is in Dan Campbell's MO.
Yes.
But the rate at which I saw it this weekend was insane. Insane. And I wonder if he wasn't the one calling the plays, would we have gone for it as many times as he did this weekend? Because he only just took that over 2 weeks ago.
That's so. I'm glad that you brought that up. Do you think, because obviously, listen, the Washington defense and the Eagles defense, there's no comparison. There's just not. And that's not because of the symbol on my hat. That's just a fact. You watch the games, that's a fact. So what we saw from Dan Campbell calling plays against the Commanders, it's like, oh, he took over plays. We loved it, which I did. I did love it, and I still love it. Did you think that his schemes and his calling plays was a problem on Sunday night? Because I do think there is a world where, like, it's hard to judge because that Eagles defense was just so in their grill all night long, right? There is that aspect where it's like, it's hard to really fault him. It's hard to really tell what was what, just because the defense was so good. Just like the Packers beat the Giants. Sorry, not the Packers. The Cowboys beat the Raiders, put a beat down on them, looked great doing it. It's the Raiders. They suck. What does that mean? Does it mean anything? I don't know. I don't take any solace that the Cowboys are now, they found something because they beat the Raiders by 20 points. That means nothing to me. Is that something similar with what we saw when it comes to the game calling for Campbell against this defense by the Eagles?
Well, I will say that in a close game that we saw, them only having 21 carries is kind of weird to me. For a team that has two very talented backs, and with the wind wrecking havoc on like kicking and balls thrown past a certain yardage, it's weird to me that they would have only had 21 carries that whole game. 18 by your guys, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. So for me, I think that that's part of it. Why not try to establish a little bit more balance? They did just upgrade the defensive line position to where maybe in the trenches you're going to have an even tougher time now. And when you saw that your protection wasn't great, why not try to slow those guys down? If those guys are just hell bent on reaching Gibbs, why are reaching Goff? Why not slow them down by having to respect the run game? Now I will say in their carries they didn't do fantastic, but I mean still commit to it. You saw the Barkley 3.2 yards per carry. His yards per carry isn't great, but they committed to it. They stuck to it.
Yeah.
And they have two backs, two really, really good backs. I was just surprised that they didn't run the ball more. So I will say I will call that part of his play calling into question. But as far as getting your skill position guys the ball, Gibbs 5 for $107 receiving the ball. Jamison Williams 4 for 88 and a tud. I don't think Williams was getting the amount of targets he was before he got the play calling. You can put part of that into the weakness of the Commanders in terms of their secondary, but I mean, he still almost had 100 yards and a touchdown in this game against a stout defense. So, like, for me, I think certain aspects of what he's doing is great. I think they were really missing a guy like Laporta last night in terms of a safety blanket
Big time. Big time.
for Goff. I mean, that's a guy that he would look to, if he sees that rush coming, having that safety valve in the tight ends would have been helpful. But yeah, I would have been more run heavy in that game against the Eagles. If anything, just to keep the defense honest and to keep them from peeling back and just going after Goff, because he was under siege all night.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Eagles win, stay atop, right there with the Rams at the top of the conference. And like I said, man, I know I've said this before, maybe the vibes in Philly might be different to me. I got no concern. The last thing I'll say about this game, then we'll move on. We've been riding this game pretty hard. We'll move on. Is I find the AJ Brown thing really, really fascinating. And I want to touch on it really quickly. AJ Brown's my guy. Said this before. I got an Eagles jersey for Christmas a few years ago, and it's AJ Brown, number 11. Love it. He's my guy. I have two sides of this. I'll quickly get your thoughts, and we'll move on. I hate it in any sport when you are lamenting how your team is doing publicly in a situation that is not a press conference. It's not a post-game scrum. I just don't like it. I think when you're on Twitch or whatever other scenario that you are, I don't think it's professional. I want guys to be themselves. I want guys to have personality. We've been griping about this when it comes to hockey for years. We want guys to be more themselves, and then they are themselves, and we rip them for it. I'm not here for that. I want him to be himself. I want him to be honest. Saying it in a post-game scrum, which he has done, is a whole different thing. I do feel like when you're winning, there are certain, franchise lines that I would want you to say. Like, you're winning ball games. You know what I mean? Like, to go ahead and act like, oh, everything's brutal, this is awful. And I know receivers are divas. I get it. But, like, you're winning. Like, you just won a Super Bowl. You're at the top of the division, top of the conference. Like, you're one of the best teams in the league, if not the best team in the league. And offensively, you're just fighting it right now, but you're winning. And it just rubs me the wrong way when you're talking out about how awful things are when you're literally one of the best teams in the league. Now, on the other side of that, it has come out by multiple sources that he is not alone in this at all. Like, Devontae Smith apparently has been talking about this. He's not very happy. There's other members of the Eagles offense that aren't very happy. Jordan Mailata is just like, could have fooled me. Everything's fine. Like, he's just acting like, Jalen's the best. Jalen's the best leader. No one works harder than Jalen. Everything's fine. No big deal. Where the wide receivers are, and obviously, like, I understand it. So this is being painted as AJ Brown is upset, when in reality, he is not the only one here. There's multiple people on this offense that are not thrilled with what's going on. I just keep it. I don't know, man. Maybe this is, I don't know. Maybe I'm a certain way. I just, when you're going to talk out about the team, I want it to be done in the confines of a professional environment. I don't like this. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one. I have no problem with you saying what you think. It's just to be like griping to your buddy on Twitch when your team never loses. It just rubs me the wrong way.
Okay. Well, let me lend you to the other side of this argument. And that's this side of the argument. Okay. In the genius that is Howie Roseman, he's going to hit you up for the contract extensions before any market gets reset. He's going to reset it at the lowest possible mark so that he's not resetting the market at a later time, like, say, maybe Jerry Jones does and likes to do.
Yes.
Okay.
He is the example. Yes.
So that being said, if you're sitting here on an offense that is not producing very much and you're winning, great. Everyone's watching you win and woo, that's awesome. But you don't feel like you're a part of it. Well, what's going to happen when you become a free agent and you maybe want out of the situation you're in because it's not going to help you financially because you don't get to show what you can do because you're in a system or you're in an offense that is sputtering so heinously that it doesn't allow you to show what you can do. So when it comes to contract time, what's his value going to be for other teams looking to try to get him? And they look at statistics and they're just like, well, you haven't done crap since X year. Like, what's their incentive to, empty the bank account for him if statistically they're looking at a player that's like, oh, what are they going to say to themselves? Like, what is he going to try to sell them on as far as his value to their team versus what he's looking like statistically for this team? You could usually spin that if you haven't already won one, but they've won one. So the hunger and the incentive to be like, yeah, I'll sacrifice for the team. I'll be the good soldier for the team. They've won a Super Bowl. They've got the chip. What incentive does he have now to sit here and continue to quote unquote underperform under the confines of this offense when they've already won a championship? He doesn't have the ring face. He's got the ring.
Yeah. That I can understand what you're saying with regards to keeping him on the Eagles, especially if Jalen Hurts doesn't because it's plain and simple. Hurts is trying to not turn the ball over and win football games. He's not trying to ball out. He's not trying to unleash. He's not trying to do any of that. He's trying to I'm not saying he's not trying to score. He's just like he has one pick this year, I'm pretty sure. Like he's just trying to maintain that touchdown to turnover.
Or nowhere near him. There's no in between him.
Right, exactly. So I can understand what you're saying with regards to keeping him on the Eagles. However, if I'm a different team, I'm like, yo, AJ, here is everything you want. Come. Let's get you out of Philly. They don't respect you, which I'm not saying this is true, but I'm just saying if I'm another team, they don't respect you. They don't value what you can do. Here is everything you want and come here. So I don't think his performance is going to hurt him from getting the bag somewhere else. It just might be what you said and keeping him from getting the bag again in Philly, which they've already paid him well and extended him and all of that good stuff. All right, let's move on. Spent a lot of time on that one. I'm always self-conscious about talking too much about my own team, but you know what? I think this is a big story. They're the best team in the NFL right now, at least one of the best teams in the NFL, and I think it's something to talk about. We're going to talk about the Buffalo Bills when we talk about their game tomorrow night. We're going to talk about KC when we talk about their game against Indiana. We're going to talk about other teams when we talk about their games in the betting preview. But the other side of the KC coin is the Denver Broncos winning 22-19. Bo Nix finds a way to get it done. They're more than likely, I feel like, with what's going on injury related with the Chargers. It feels like Denver is probably going to win this division. I think it would take a catastrophic, at least for the Chiefs to end up winning this division. It's going to take a meltdown from Denver, in my opinion. I feel like for a lot of the year, okay, yeah, Denver was winning ball games. They were dead for 3 quarters. Bo Nix comes alive. The defense keeps him in it, keeps him in it. Bo Nix comes alive in the 4th, and they score 50 points in 10 minutes, and they win the ball game. Exaggerating, obviously. And I feel like up until Sunday, it was easy to say, I can't believe in this Denver team because they never do it for a full hour or even 40 minutes. They come alive in the 4th quarter, and I can't trust it. However, when you do that and beat the Chiefs, even if the Chiefs aren't the Chiefs that we've come to know and love, you're still doing it against the pedigree that is the Chiefs. I believe you picked the Chiefs. And what was the big reason why you picked the Chiefs? Andy Reid after a bye. That is like the boogeyman for a lot of these teams every year. And the Broncos find a way to do what they do, as nervous as it makes everybody. They did it against the Chiefs. Are we ready to say, if you weren't already, are we ready to say Denver is for real?
Yeah, listen, they are maybe 5 to 6 plays from being a perfect 11-0 right now.
Yep.
You talk about the the penalty that cost them against the Colts, in that field goal that you've been on record as saying that you don't believe that victory belonged to the Colts because of that penalty. And then the game against the Chargers, only a field goal separated them in that game. So like I said, maybe 5 or 6 plays from being perfect going into this game next week. For me, with the Broncos, I don't know how much you can live by showing up in the 4th quarter and pulling that off consistently. They have a overabundance in one possession victories. And remember, we've seen this story before in many different ways. You could talk about the Chiefs last season. They had an exorbitant amount of 1-score victories, and then here that record is probably completely flipped the other way.
Yep.
This season. So you can't live on that. We all know you can't live on that. I had Bo Nix's under in passing yards last week. He had 80 yards at halftime. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm like, oh snap. Called it. This is great.
Yeah.
He finishes a shade under 300 yards passing.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
I don't know what happened. Listen, I don't know what happens to them at halftime or what happens to them in the changeover from the 3rd to the 4th quarter, that all of a sudden it's like the opposite of Cinderella, where, it strikes midnight and she's outie 3,000. Like, it's like until it strikes a certain time clock, they're locked in. They're like, okay, all right, guys, lock it in. And it's like all of a sudden they're just unbeatable from halftime on. Just completely unbeatable. We need to study. Someone's got to have that stat somewhere, but we've got to study their second half point totals versus the rest of the league. I need to see what their second half point totals are compared to the rest of the league. Because when you count this game, when you count the game against the Giants, like in my brain, I'm thinking to myself, they have to lead the league in second half points. And if not second half points, they have to lead the league in fourth quarter points. So listen, they're winning the games. We have to say that they're for real. You don't win games on accident. At some point, there's a trend in what you're doing, whether that's offensively or defensively, whether that's second half adjustments. Like, to win this many games, yes, there has to be a certain amount of luck. But at the same time, when you see it as consistently as we're seeing it with Denver, there's also another side to that says, hey, they are doing something in what their preparations are before the games that says, hey, if we get to this point, this is what we're going to do. And you've got to believe it. You are what your record is. And their record is 9-2. They have a solid defense, a little bit of an inconsistent offense, but I love their run game. And they're just, listen, the epitome of a good team is finding ways to win when you shouldn't win. And the Bears are doing that. Shout out to my friend Josh, who doesn't believe the Bears because he thinks they're fraudulent by how they're winning games.
I'm with him.
At the same time, they are finding ways to win. And there are things in there, how they're doing it, where I believe, okay, I understand what the plan is here. I understand what you're trying to do here. You're consistently executing this. Okay, I get it. But just to tie this in a bow, when you look at the rest of Denver's schedule, you have the Commanders, the Raiders, the Packers, the Jags, the Chiefs again, and the Chargers again. There is a world where they end up at minimum 13-4.
Yeah.
There's a world that happens. If you say that they could split their games against the Chiefs and the Chargers, and we'll see where they're at that point. But when you're looking at Commanders, Raiders, Jaguars, and Packers, those next four, I could very easily see that 3-1. And that would put them at 12-3 heading into those last two games.
I mean, I could see
that put them seeding wise. You know what I mean? Where does that put them in terms of like the number one seed in the AFC? Because they're obviously going to be going toe to toe with the Patriots, toe to toe with the Colts, to try to get that one slot. So they're for real to me. I listen, when you can find that many ways to win games like that, I believe in what you're selling. Okay.
And I mean, the fact that defense is so good, and they're keeping them right there in position to do the same thing week after week, right? And that was what we saw. We'll talk about this game later, but what we saw with Tampa Bay and Buffalo is that, Baker is this, fourth quarter comeback kid. Well, when your defense and listen, Josh Allen just finally was like, enough of all you guys. I'm doing this myself, and we're going to get this job done. And Josh Allen is one of the best talents, if not the best talent in the NFL. So that's not a completely fair comparison. But that defense they just couldn't hold it down long enough for Baker to do what Baker can do. And when Baker had an opportunity, he turned the ball over, and this is what happens. A couple things off what you just said. Number one, just to what this is now. Listen, I turned off my screen, made you big, and talked to Chat GPT because I didn't have the time to go look for second half points and whatever. So this is according to Chat GPT. Okay. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But hey, man, Chatty knows what's up. According to Chat GPT, the Denver Broncos averaged 12.2 points in the second half, which doesn't sound right, but that ranks 22nd in the NFL. The Lions and the Bills average 15.2, and the Lions average 15.7. So, again, that's according according to ChatGPT, could be wrong, because you're right. It does feel like they score way more than 12.2 points in the fourth quarter or in the second half. But that is, again, according to my guy or girl, who knows, ChatGPT.
We should narrow that down.
My wife, dude, side note, I call ChatGPT my wife's boyfriend because she's talking to that thing all the time. I swear to God, they have more in-depth conversations than we do, but that's another conversation. Now, yeah, man, I completely lost my train of thought talking about ChatGPT. So I liked what you said. I had lots of things to add on to it, but I can't. Oh, yeah, the last thing, what you were saying, man, with regards to, adding, like the Patriots in there, the Colts in there. I really do love what we're seeing in sports right now, specifically with the NFL and the NHL. And I know I talk about hockey a lot. I'm a hockey guy. Don't know how many people who watch this care, but we're seeing the same thing in the NHL, where teams that have been bottom feeders for 5 years plus are now rising to the top. And in the NHL, the season's longer, so you have the kind of luxury of saying, well, it's only November or it's only December, don't know how long it'll last or whatever. But I mean, here are the Colts, here are the Pats, here are the Broncos. They might not make runs to the Super Bowl, but if these 3 teams miss the playoffs, that's just catastrophic at this point. And I just love it, man. I always cheer for greatness. I know people hate KC, or people hate, Golden State Warriors back in the day, or people hate the Dodgers or the Florida Panthers. I love greatness. I want great teams to be there at the end every single year. At the same time, I love this new blood, man. And I love the storylines that this new blood represents. I love it, and I'm here for it. All about it. All right, let's move on to our betting portion of the night, starting with the Buffalo Bills, Houston Texans. -5.5 are the Buffalo Bills in Houston. -5.5 is -122. +5.5 is +100 for the Texans. -290 is the money line. +235 is the money line for the Texans. The over 43.5 at -110, and the under is -110 as well. I want to talk about this. Buffalo. We talked about this. They beat Tampa Bay over the weekend. Incredible 6 total TDs from Josh Allen. Just an incredible performance by him. Coleman, healthy scratch due to missing a meeting. Kincaid out. It does feel like, their players are kind of dropping like flies over there. It was an impressive win. The Bucs still put up 32 points. I know that the Texans lost or barely beat the Titans, but the Texans have been winning lately. Right now, the Texans are 5-5. Now, that division is pretty much gone. Jacksonville won the other day too. So you have the Colts 8-2, Jacksonville 6-4, Texans 5-5. So for them to scrap their way into a wild card spot, it's possible. Absolutely possible. They definitely brought themselves back into the conversation. My question to you is, this defense for Houston is a terrific, terrific defense. We saw a terrific performance from Josh Allen on Sunday. Was that win enough? Before we get to the game, was that win enough for you to trust this Buffalo team? No. Because yeah, man, like it as long as you have Josh Allen, I will always give you a chance. But I was harsh on Buffalo last week. And I have not changed my mind because it wasn't the defense. The defense, Josh Allen had to score 44 points. All right. Like that's what had to happen. Minus the field goals or whatever. Let's say he scored 6 touchdowns. Okay. He basically did it all by himself. Well, what are your thoughts on this Buffalo team? And you can segue it into the game. I not that I love what CJ Stroud and the boys have been doing on offense, although it certainly has been better. Not this past week withstanding. It has been better since the start of the season. I have a strong lean Houston plus 5.5. It's just messes with you psychologically after seeing what Josh Allen did on the weekend.
Yeah, no, I don't care what he did last weekend. Last weekend was last weekend, all right? And it's a short turnaround, and you're on the road against the Texans, who have put a couple of good games back together, okay?
Yep.
Well, 1.5 good games together, because honestly, they were about to be blown out of the water 2 weeks ago. And they just had an amazing second half to pull out that victory. So kudos to them. But what Danielle Hunter is doing, what Will Anderson's doing on those edges is going to cause problems for Josh Allen. They're not going to let him get out. So if he's going to run, he's going to have to go through the middle. I think they're going to be savvy enough to keep him inside the pocket and cause some havoc that way. But how they have to make this close, how they have to keep them in this game is we need a steady dose of Woody Marks. Woody Marks, Chubb, their stable of backs that they have over there, keep the ball in your side of the field on offense. Just don't let them get on the field. That's going to be their key to success there. Their defense is stout enough to get 3 and outs if they need to, especially with the lack of weaponry that Buffalo has in their offense. As far as outside threats. So for me, I think it would be a pretty monumental task given their overall talent level on that whole team. But not impossible to keep this within a touchdown at least. So I'm taking Houston plus the 5.5. And my prop pick, which is an easy cash anytime the Bills are concerned, take the opposing running backs high total. I'm taking Woody Marks over the 61.5. Sean Tucker, who's their running back 3, if you want to be honest, because it's Irving, Rashad White, Sean Tucker. He had 100 yards and 2 touchdowns last week. So, like, if a team's third running back can get a buck on you, Woody Marks can get you 62. I'm just reading the tea leaves here. I don't know what else to say about that. That alone keeps you in the game, keeps Davis Mills clean in the pocket just to have the threat of the running game. If they can keep Davis clean, they can get within the touchdown of this team.
Yeah. And like, you know what, man, like that's a great point. To me, my very first thought was Houston plus 5.5 and under the total. That was my first thought. The more I think about it, 43.5, it's that's a touch too low for me to commit to the under. Just because it is still Josh Allen. I know this Houston defense is incredible, and I know that we just saw the Bills put up 13 against an abysmal defense in Miami. But it's still Josh Allen. I'm still showing respect. I think the Houston offense steps up in a way that we've been dying to see them step up. I think this is a great defense to do it against, like you said, if they can establish that running game. I'm not talking 52.5 point, cover. But that's 24-21, right? 24-21, 24-20, 23-19, any variation of that, and you clear the number. So I am gonna take the over, even if it's ever so slightly. All right. Moving on, your first game of the week, Indianapolis in Kansas City, -3.5 for the Chiefs at home, -102, +3.5 for the Colts, -120 favored there in the odds, +156 Colts money line, -186 Chiefs money line. Over 49.5, -115. Under is -105. This is your game. I'm going to let you go. The one thing I would say is that this money line, and we see this all the time in sports when it comes to the dominant teams of the past. This money line to me, and listen, Vegas knows, okay? I understand how this works.
Yeah.
That being said, this is a 2022, 21, 22, 23, 24 line. I know that this Chiefs defense is a good group. I'm not saying the Chiefs shouldn't be favored. But to be favored this heavily, I just can't get on board with it. This is not, we have not seen a team that is -186 at home against a team that's gone 8-2 to start the season.
Yeah. My gut is to take the Colts in the points. That's what my gut is saying. Because I'm in my brain, I'm thinking, listen, they're 4-1 at home. Of the two teams, they obviously need it the most. But that line you said was 3.5?
3.5, yep.
That to me tells me that you figure you got the home buff, right? So the home buff's probably worth maybe -1.5, maybe 2.5, somewhere around there. So that tells me that in the neutral site, they would think this is a pick 'em. So if that's the case for me, I'm gonna take the Colts. Because the Chiefs have all their weapons and they're still losing games. They're still losing games, bro. They have all their people. They have Kelsey. Kelsey went for 991 and a tud last week. They
I
threw a
know.
deep ball to Thornton for 61. It was looking great. Rasheed Rice is on the field. Xavier Worthy's on the field. They still lost the game.
I know.
And I think what it is, and it's something that I heard Chris Canty say on TV today, and I think there's got to be a certain measure of truth to that when you think about it. When you just think about it as a whole, you look back to how they lost that Super Bowl, and I think maybe the aura is gone. Like, I feel like that aura of like the Chiefs are the Chiefs, hail to the Chiefs. I don't think anyone's scared to go in there and win a game anymore.
No.
I don't
Interesting.
think
Yeah.
I just don't think they have that fear factor of having to beat the Chiefs. Because what is it that we always say? Anybody that's watched football, like even the layman's, like not the casuals, we'll call them the casuals. Even the casuals know the Chiefs are still the Chiefs until you beat the Chiefs. And you know what? A lot of teams have been beating the Chiefs this year. A lot of teams have been beating the Chiefs this year. And I just don't think there's that fear factor anymore. So for me, I think this is a prime opportunity for the Colts to get a win under their belts that really means something. Not to say that nothing that they've done so far didn't mean anything, but what I'm saying is to take on this challenge against a team that's going to be hungry, that needs it, like legitimately, like needs it. This is an AFC opponent. When you get into tie breaks for things for playoff seeding in the in your conference record means something. I think the Colts need to also win this, because it says to them, it's like, listen, we went against what anybody would say on paper is the hungrier team and won a game. And traditionally speaking, we know that when it comes to Super Bowl teams, there's always one that suffers that hangover and either almost misses the playoffs or gets steadily beat in that next postseason if they get in. So I think, obviously, if you look at it, what's happening, the Eagles are going to be there. And I think the Chiefs are not. I legitimately think the Chiefs are not. So give me the Colts. I'm going to take the Colts on the points. And I think they're going to have to do it through the air, to be honest. Because even with that game that they lost last week, Harvey wasn't going anywhere. McLaughlin wasn't going anywhere. They had that run game on lock. So that tells me that Jonathan Taylor may not have the game that he would like to have. I know he's a threat to break one, but I think I think the Chiefs are going to keep him on the wraps. They're going to let anyone else but him beat them. So I'm going to take JT's under in rushing yards, which is at 87.5. I think that's a healthy low. I think that's a healthy low for me to be like, okay, maybe he gets like 20 and 80 tops. But I think this is going to be a Daniel Jones game for me.
Yeah, and I can't disagree with anything that you said. A couple things I find really fascinating, and I'm going to get to the standings in a minute. The first one is I'm taking the under in this game, 49.5. I'm taking the under. And the reason for that is, and just kind of follow me here, plus 3.5 for the Colts is minus 120. Minus 3.5 for the Chiefs is minus 102. You're getting almost plus money to take the minus one, or like the minus 3.5, which typically the minus money is the favored money. Typically, you don't find the plus money the favored odds usually, right? That's usually how this goes. So for plus 3.5 to be favored, that's telling me that Vegas, even though they think the Chiefs are minus 186 favorites, this is going to be a really close, tight game within 3 points. That doesn't take a genius to figure out. That's just what it is. To me, that screams 24-20. Or even like that does not, like, I don't see the Chiefs. I just don't see it right now. The Chiefs putting up hanging up in the high 20s or, 30 something. I just don't see them keeping up with the Colts in that way. I also agree with you that run defense is going to be stout. And I don't think, while it is going to rely on Danny Dimes, his arm, I don't think that the Colts are going to go out and put up 35 points either. I do think this is going to be a game within 3 points, and I do think it is going to go under the number. That's my thought on it. The other side of this is, and I don't know how much they're thinking about it. I'm sure they're going to say 1 week at a time. We're not looking too far ahead. I think it's really important for the Colts to do their darndest to get the 1 seed. I think it's really important. Now, if you end up winning the 1 seed and, or because if you end up getting the 2 seed and the 7 seed is the Chiefs, as much as we're talking about how we're looking down on the Chiefs, I still don't want to see them in the first round of the playoffs, right?
Valid.
I still don't want them to be my first matchup in
Yeah.
January, right? And so I think it's important for a team like the Colts to get that number one seed. I that's just how I kind of feel about it. Once again, if you ask them, I'm sure they're not looking ahead that
Yeah.
one game at a time.
Listen,
But I
I,
think that
I'm inclined to agree. I'm inclined to agree because I don't think anyone wants to go back in time and have the AFC run through Gillette. I don't think there's anyone on the planet that wants the AFC running through New England Stadium again. We had 20 something years of that. I don't think anybody's
yeah,
in any rush to go back to that way of life.
yeah, yeah, I'm right there with you. Other thing I want to say, not related to the game, but I found it interesting. So my wife, she's a terrific flipper of furniture. She refurbishes furniture, sells them. She's on social media. I'll pump it right now. Revived by Shay. She does a great job. She sold the piece to a couple, came to pick it up. I have my Eagles hat on. The guy starts talking football. He's a Colts fan. And he tells me he's a Colts fan. I'm like, hey man, it's a resurgence for your boys this year. He looks at me right in the eyes. He goes, it's my guy, Indiana Jones. The Colts fans are feeling it, man. They're feeling it. There's no any doubt he had. It didn't show, man. He looked at me right in the eyes. Indiana Jones, my guy. And I loved the confidence. All right. Pittsburgh, Chicago, -2.5 are the Bears. I want to talk about this game. -2.5, -115, +2.5, -105, -144. Bears at home on the money line, +122. The total is 44.5. -120 over, -102 under. I don't. From my perspective, you tell me what you think. You tell me who you're picking. You tell me your prop bet. I don't really even care about this game. I want to know, what do you think about the Bears? Because I can't get there, man. I just can't get there. Shame on the Packers for just letting now they're 6-3-1. Even if they were 8-2, the Bears would still be right there, 7-3. So it's not all on the Packers, but maybe even more shame on the Lions. Lions 6-4, third in the division. Something we didn't talk about before is missing the playoffs for the Lions. I haven't looked at their schedule recently, but that's a real conversation we might have in a couple weeks from now. Green Bay 6-3-1, Bears 7-3. Man, I'm with your buddy. What did you say his name was? Josh. Yeah. I cannot get there with this Bears team. When you look at the way Denver is winning ball games, they win it assertively. Even if the offense is dead for 3.5 quarters, they still do it with a thud. And this Bears team, these wins, and listen, it's the NFL. I don't know if you can say wins or flukes. I don't know if you can really say that. These wins feel fluky to me, man. I just can't get on board with it. What say you?
Listen, I completely understand where you're coming from when it comes to that. I just think that these aren't Eberflus's Bears. Okay, Eberflus's Bears just found ways to lose games. Whether it's just looking at the crowd and just partying up a Hail Mary situation and then finding out you lost the game. There's a buzz in the building. Ben's got this team rolling. He has a top 5 offensive line unit in the league. They're running like gangbusters. The whole Swift and Kyle Managi. I'm probably butchering his name, but the Rutgers kid, he can ball. Okay, and he's structuring his offense. He's putting it together like, oh, I got my two back system. Just like I had Montgomery and Gibbs. I got these two guys. I can run what I want to run. He's got the tight ends. He's got the wideouts. Now, the question that everybody says is the issues. Does he have the quarterback? Does he have the quarterback? And the quarterback position, listen, Caleb's got to be more consistent. I don't think it takes anyone with a brainstem knows he's got to play more consistently. But what I will say is that going into this particular game, which I believe they have at home, okay, with a compromised Rodgers. We don't know if Rodgers is going to go or not, okay. But even if he doesn't, I know they have a capable guy in Rudolph, but I'm inclined to believe the Bears more than I am to believe the Steelers, because we're in Steelers tank season. We're in Steelers, they're going to barely get over 500 season. They usually start off a little hot, and then towards the winter months, all of a sudden we're backing into a 9-8, or we're backing into a 10-7 and a first-round playoff loss. We're in that season right now. They'll be lucky to finish 500 the rest of the way, okay? So for me, I trust, believe it or not, my trust is going with the Bears, because they have time and time again this year found ways to win games that they shouldn't have won. And I'm just going to continue that versus a team that perpetually underperforms as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't pick a side here. I'm with you on what you're saying about Pittsburgh. If Rodgers is compromised based on what we've seen the last few weeks, then I can't really go one way or the other. This Steelers defense has been playing much better than what we saw for the first part of the season. Still, I don't know. We'll see. Again, love the under. Third straight game. Love the under here. I think this might be an exact score of Chicago's last game, 1917.
Yeah.
And if the Steelers are on the losing side of that, it might even be less than that. It's just hard to really predict what we're going to see from that offense. So I'm going under the number for sure. But I'm going to stay away from the side, at least for now. And thankfully, it's a 1:00 game, so I won't be just picking one of these stupid teams to side with when I try to chase money at 4:00. So, thank the Lord.
Yeah, you don't want that. Yeah.
No. Dude, we all know, dude. I'm going to end up betting on this stupid Falcons Saints game. Saints are favored. I know that Cousins is starting, but anyway,
I'm going to end up say one quick ad there, because I forgot to mention it. The odds aren't out for a majority of the picks on my book yet. But my prop pick for that Bears game is Cole Kmet's over in receiving yards. Steelers have issues with covering the tight ends. Tucker Kraft went off on them when they played, so
love it.
That's an issue.
Love it. Speaking of the Tucker Kraft, although it's the Tucker Kraft list, Green Bay Packers in Minnesota. Green Bay favored -6.5, -110, +6.5 is the same. -295 on the money line, +240 for the Vikings. Over 41.5 is the total here. -105 for this Packers team. And maybe this speaks more about the Vikings than it does the Packers. But for this Packers team to be involved in a game in which the total is 41.5, I think is telling. Again, I think a lot of people will say that's because of the Vikings. I don't know, man. Listen, you watch the game. They played your guys over the weekend. I didn't find it impressive. What, you beat the Giants with a last-minute touchdown? No offense to the Giants, but that doesn't impress me. You're a Super Bowl contender. Like, what are we talking about here? This Packers team still, I just don't trust it, man. I just don't trust it. And for Minnesota, they're 4-6. If they have any hope at all of salvaging their season, they got to win this game. Now, I don't think even if they do win this game, I don't think it necessarily matters long term. To me, this is not analytical. This is not deep diving. Nothing. I don't trust the Packers. I just don't. And McCarthy, unplayable for 3 quarters. Literally unplayable for 3 quarters. Found a way to give his team a chance to win a ball game at the end of it all. I don't know. What's that?
Again.
Yeah.
That's been his MO.
Yeah. This Packers defense is good. Very good. I think that Minnesota it's going to be tough. I still think they have talent, but it's more so this Green Bay team. I can't trust it. I think 6.5 is a beautiful number. Give me that plus 6.5 all day. And if the Packers end up winning by 2 touchdowns, good. Show me, prove it to me. You're much better than this team. Go out and win a ball game decisively. You're the Packers. You're a Super Bowl contender. Everyone's telling me, oh, can you believe they went from Favre to this and now Love? Oh my goodness. I don't see it with this team right now, man. I just don't. And I'll take that. I'll take that Minnesota plus 6.5. And if I hope that they prove me wrong. I want them to. Because I can't take them. I can't take them with the points. I'm not going to be so stupid that I'm taking the plus 240. I think that's a stretch. But I'm taking Vikings plus 6.5 all day.
Man, that's wild.
All day.
I can't wait for the Nets to come after you for this one. It's gonna be a great time.
I hope they do. And listen, sorry, just to put a period on this rant that I didn't know was coming. It just came pouring out of me. I don't know. I haven't been to therapy in a while. Maybe it's just I'm compensating for something here. This defense is going to put the Vikings in a blender. They are. But the Packers need every single minute of all these games. Like they lose to the Panthers. They lose to the Eagles, and I know the Eagles are the Eagles, okay, but the Eagles aren't blowing anyone's brains out with the offense lately, right? You literally beat the Giants. They need every second of all these games. It doesn't matter who they play. It just doesn't. They need every ounce of juice out of these games. And if that's how they're playing ball games right now, I can't take the 6.5 in good confidence. I just can't.
This is tough for me. For the simple fact that
I'm really heavy on the Vikings. I didn't expect that. It just came out of me.
I just don't know what LaFleur is going to do with the play calling. I don't know what he's going to do with the play calling. I don't know if he's going to continue to play it safe with Jordan Love or if he's just going to let him rip. I'm going to also take Minnesota plus 6.5 because I think 6.5 is a little too rich for me. As far as a divisional matchup, and a Brian Flores defense, which can have some off days, can have some good days, but I just think with them playing it so safe on offense, with the Packers, like this may be a grind out game. They may grind out possessions and they're kicking field goals instead of scoring touchdowns, and we may end up with like a 2017 situation or a 23-20 situation where they're forced to grind out these drives because he doesn't want Love to turn the ball over. And listen, kudos to him. He's 15-3. Okay, 15 tuds, 3 interceptions, mission success. Great. Does it look good more often than not? No, it's a terrible product sometimes. But I don't believe they're gonna win this running away. I think this is gonna be another one of those grind out games where they just happen to come out on the winning end of this just because they might be a more talented team than the Vikings. Especially at the quarterback position. What I will say as far as a prop pick, the props aren't out for the Green Bay game and the Chicago game on my book yet, but my lean is Aaron Jones is under on rushing yards. The Packers are one of the league leaders in rushing defense. So I think they'll be able to keep him under wraps, especially since they've had years and years of knowledge and intel on Aaron Jones and where he likes to go. I figured they'll be able to keep him under wraps. So whenever that number comes out, I will post it at Java Joe Sports on the X for you guys to tail.
Love it. Absolutely. And yeah, man, you've been on fire all season long. So definitely give them a follow and tail those bets for sure. All right, moving on. Last two games of the day for us. Philadelphia -3.5, 4:30, redeeming this awful 4:00 slate. Although Cleveland Raiders, that just has the makings of a really good bad game. Like the fact that the Raiders are -210 favorites against anybody is just so obnoxious. Like I don't care if it's Shedeur Sanders or not. Like that's just outrageous to me. But regardless, the Eagles are -3.5 +100, which I find very interesting. We just talked about how minus points are usually minus money. And +100 right now, -3.5 for the Eagles, +3.5 for the Cowboys, -122, -174 on the money line for the Eagles, +144 for the Cowboys. Very similar situation there to the Colts and Chiefs. Except that it's the Eagles that are on the road, the favorite team. Over 47.5, -115, under -105. We talked at length at the beginning of the show about the Eagles. Where are you at with this team or with this game? And with what you saw from Dallas on Monday, that did nothing for me. I don't know if that did anything for you either. The Raiders are that awful. But where are you at with this game, and where are you at with the Cowboys?
You want to hear the honest truth?
I want you to be honest. You think the Cowboys are going to win this game?
I think the Cowboys are going to win this game because as bad as the Raiders were, was as bad as Philly's offense has been for the last several weeks. There's absolutely no way with the investments that with people that they're getting back on defense for Dallas, with what I'm seeing in the interior of their defense, and with what I've seen as far as Saquon Barkley's involvement in the offense and what he's doing with his opportunities, this is a Cowboys +3.5 for me. I'm going to protect myself because the Cowboys are in fact the Cowboys. So let me just take the points and be on the safe side. I'm not crazy enough to go money line, but this Eagles offense is just going to have to prove it to me. They're going to have to prove it to me. And I think they're going to go ahead and give them their best shot at stopping Barkley on a more consistent basis than they probably ever have. So if they're going to full send that, then that means there's going to be one-on-ones on the outside. And so if you can't hit the broadside of a barn, meaning you can't hit Goddard, you can't hit Brown, you can't hit help me out, Devontae Smith.
Dude, Dotson has been like a hot target lately, which is hilarious.
Yeah, because his routes aren't going to go past 5 or 6 yards. So within the short range, you can hit him real quick and not have to worry about a deep ball that's going to sail out of bounds that you're trying to throw a go route on. Listen, they're just going to have to prove it to me. And this is a game where I feel like there are good vibes with the Cowboys right now. Jerry Jones is feeling himself. Is like, yeah, you guys thought I was crazy getting Quentin Williams. Look at him go. Look at him sack the quarterback.
Give
Look
me a
how good
break.
he is. Look how
Yeah.
great he is. Look at the guys who are about to get back on defense. Overshown's back. Like we're about to put together our best game in Jerry World right now. This is our Super Bowl right here. Let's get it.
Yeah, man. I mean, I can't argue with the logic. I can't. What I'm curious about, this total for me is very interesting to me. 47.5, and it feels high based on how bad the Eagles offense has been and how good their defense has been. I'm very curious to see that matchup with the defense of the Eagles and the offense of the Cowboys, because if there's any reason to have any confidence in the Cowboys, it's their offense. The fact that they held the Raiders to 16 points once again means nothing to me. They added Quentin Williams, yes, great player. They added pieces, yes. To me, this Eagles offense will have opportunity against this defense. Whether or not they actually take advantage of that opportunity is another thing. They're going to have opportunities, though. I'm curious to see the weapons. Listen, Dak, we say what we want about Dak. He is a regular season performer. And for a large stretch of this season, he was one of, if not the top performing quarterback in the league, right? For a certain stretch. I'm very curious to see how this Eagles defense handles this Cowboys offense. Because the Cowboys lose because their defense can't stop anybody, not because they can't score points. So I'm interested to see how that goes. For that reason, once again, I think I'm gonna go under the number here, 47.5. I think this Eagles defense is going to contain this offense. I think they will. That being said, I don't know. I just, like you said it, man, that this offense has to show it to us. I'm not going to pick a side here. I do think the Eagles are going to win this ball game. I can't see, but at the same time, I am going to go under the number. All right. Last game of the day, Tampa Bay in LA. Minus 330 are the Rams at home. Plus 265 are the Bucks. Minus 6.5 at minus 120. Plus 6.5 at minus 102 for the Bucks. Over 49.5 at minus 110. I am curious about this game when it comes to the total specifically. The Bucks are still putting up points. The Rams aren't really putting up a bunch of points right now. They're winning a bunch of low-scoring games. The defense for the Bucks has been leaky. I struggle getting to an over just because I feel like the Rams offense is doing what they have to do to win, but they're not necessarily blowing anybody away. I am going to take the points here with the Bucks. I don't have a strong conviction. I feel like the Rams are maybe the most complete team in the NFC right now, if we're talking offense, defense, the whole deal.
Yeah.
But I think Josh Allen, listen, Baker made mistakes last week at the back half of that game. And the defense just couldn't stop Josh Allen. When you turn the ball over and you keep the defense on the field and Josh Allen's on the other side of it, he's just going to kill you. That's just what's going to happen. So to me, I am taking Bucks plus 6.5. I'm leaning towards the under here. I do think it's going to be a close game. I think Baker rebounds. But I don't know if they can necessarily win this game, but I do think it'll be close. Bucks plus 6.5.
I'm gonna go the other way here. I'm gonna go Rams minus 6.5. Listen, the Bucks just had a road game against Buffalo, and now they have to travel across country to go play the Rams on a little bit of a that's a long distance for me. So I don't know how great they're gonna feel in that game. Um and speaking about mistakes, do you want to know who hasn't made a mistake in a very long time? Matthew Stafford. He
Yeah,
hasn't thrown a pick since like
that's true.
September. Um, so one of the things that you're going to have to do, if you're going to beat the Rams or have a decent shot at it, you're going to have to force him into some mistakes. And he's just too good with the football. And listen, they can beat you any kind of way. Okay. He had a game where he had 5 touchdowns and only had 182 yards. Like it's not always going to be flashy. It's going to be whatever the game needs. If it's got to be Kyron more in a certain game, they're going to do that. If it's got to be Stafford more in a certain game, they're going to do that. And that's just the genius of McVay and cooking up a scheme that fits whatever game that they're playing. So give me the Rams here. I think the Bucks are going to be a little weary from the trip from Buffalo. And I'm going to go ahead and take Kyron Williams over in rushing yards, which is 60. I think that's far
good.
too low as a number. I will say the Bucks defense is pretty stout, and with Vita Vea there in the middle, it's really stout in the middle. But 60 is a number that I have not seen him hit below very often this season. It's the reason why I took his over last game, and he eclipsed that by halftime. So I'm feeling pretty good about that bet. Same thing in rushing yards. On the previous pick that I didn't make, I'm taking the under for Saquon in the Cowboys game. Just because that's been a steady winner as well. His under and Kyron's over has been pretty consistent throughout the season.
One thing I'm really curious about, the Panthers have a bye week this week. If the Bucks lose this game, they are tied with the Panthers for the lead in the division. And I haven't taken a big deep look into the Bucks schedule, into the Panthers schedule.
Uh-huh.
The Panthers, like, they're leaking oil right now. Or sorry, the Bucks. Like, they're leaking some oil right now. Right? They're 6-4, Panthers 6-5. This is a massive game. Massive. It's this. I feel like with the Panthers, it's been this like, and listen, the Panthers aren't some world beater, okay, but they're finding a way to win ball games. They are. They beat the Packers. They beat the Falcons in a game. Now I know it's the Falcons, and I know that Pants got hurt, and I know, but they were down massive in that game. What, 21-10? Maybe even worse than that. And they found a way to come back to win the game. I think this is huge for Tampa Bay. And I'm curious to see. I feel like with this division, it's been a formality. For me, it was. I gave the Falcons no shot this year. The Falcons are one of those teams, people get all horned up on them and love them. That was not me at all at the beginning of the year. The Panthers are the Panthers. And the Saints, we all knew that they were going to be the Saints. At least like the recent version of the Saints. To me, the Bucks winning this division was a no-brainer. It was a formality. Whatever they did come January happens. All of a sudden, the Panthers don't, you're not paying attention. The Bucks, they lost. No big deal. They're going to win the division. Even if they're 9-8, they'll find a way to win the division. Yeah. The Panthers are right there, man. The Panthers are right there. And so I'm curious to see what Tampa has. The Rams, like I said, I think they're the most complete team in the league. Maybe at least the conference, at least. But this is a massive game for the Bucs. I'm curious. I don't have it. Where are we here?
Well, thankfully, it's going to be decided on the field because 2 of the last 4 games are going to be Bucks Panthers. So,
okay, there's the answer to my question. Yeah, there you go.
They play twice in the last 4 weeks of the season, so it will get decided on the field. I will say the Bucks, even if they do lose, will hold the tiebreak because they are perfect in the division. But as the games play out, that'll obviously, there's an opportunity for that to change. So we'll see what ends up happening. But the Panthers, even being this close and even being above 500 at this stage of the season, I'm pretty sure no one had.
It's huge, man. It's huge. I think their total was 6.5 too. So they're literally 1 win away. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it was 6.5. And they're 1 win away from clearing that number. And my last point to this is that, thankfully, if you're Tampa, you lose this game, the Panthers play the Rams next week. So it's pretty likely the Panthers will lose that game, but they've been winning games that they're supposed to lose. So Panthers have become one of these teams that I'm not believing in them, but I'm not counting them out on a random Sunday in November. All right. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us, for watching this. We appreciate it so much. Joe, appreciate you. Cleanly shaved, looking gorgeous. Just amazing. Good for you. Everybody, once again, thank you for watching. Shout out First Round Collectibles, promo code SPORTS10, up to 60% off selected cards with your promo code SPORTS10. That's 10% off of regular priced items and up to 60% off selected cards that are on sale in the First Round Collectibles store. Promo code SPORTS10, first-round-collectibles.com. Also, Total Apex Sports, Total Apex Media, football, hockey, basketball, baseball, whatever you want to know, they have it. Whether you want to know in-depth knowledge about the teams, about the games, betting coverage, DFS, fantasy, the whole deal, they have you covered. Their Total Apex Media site, they got health, they got fitness, they got lifestyle, they got pop culture, they got video games, they got TV, they got it all. Total Apex Media, Total Apex Sports. Appreciate them having us on board as always. Everybody, enjoy the game tomorrow night. Bills, Texans, enjoy the games over the course of the weekend. We'll be right back here next Wednesday, 6 p.m. Have a great week. We will see you then.